What is going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and welcome back to the PPL. Now, I'm going to let you guys know the team builder for this week is going to be very chilled, very laid back, very relaxed. I had a very long day. I trained at a new job today, so kudos for that, I guess. But I was outside, I was ziplining all day long. It was so much fun, but it was so much work and it was so tiring. So I really wanted to do the team builder tonight after I've had a very long, grueling day after like my 5 weeks off of doing nothing, because I'm going to be open and I'm going to be legit and I'm going to be kind of more blunt about this team because it's a very unique team and I'm hoping it'll do well. Last week we played Shroom Raver. If you did not watch that game, I strongly urge you guys to go watch it because it had a little bit of controversial moments in there. I'll let you take from it what you would like. However, I have my own opinions on it and they might differ from other people's, but that's fine. That's the game of Pokemon. That's the game we play. Now this week, we are going up against Sly and the Pittsburgh Pyroar. You guys do not remember what happened last season. We played Sly. He was one of our few wins last season, so I'm sure he's going to be gunning for that big win. He also had a massive win last week against Paul. Like, it's insane. So I'm pooping myself over this matchup because I'm trying something unique. I'm trying something that he won't expect, that I'm really hoping I can just pull out of left field and catch him off guard. But I've already talked enough about what I'm trying to do this week. Let's go ahead and talk about Sly's team that I should probably actually go ahead and get up in front of me on the thingy boober. Okay, there it is. So, Sly is a very scary team. He has Victini, Tyranitar, Togekiss, Reuniclus, Tentacruel, Druddigon, Megasteelix, Breloom, Rotom, Glaceon, and Ariados. So, let's just go ahead and take a look about his team and general threats. He has a Victini. Not many people have switch-ins to Victini. I do. I am the few people that have switch-ins, which is a Miltank, but it's still a very good switch into it. Tyranitar is probably one of the biggest threats to my team. It's probably the biggest threat to my team if I don't play it properly. Because it could be special and I have no switch-ins to it. It could be physical and I have little to no switch-ins to it because it has such a good move coverage, like from Flamethrower to Earth Power to Dark Pulse to Stone Edge to Crunch to Pursuit. Like it can be so threatening. He then has Togekiss. Togekiss is actually very threatening for my team in general because it can actually take on my Kingdra pretty well, unless I'm like modest specs in the rain. But even then, I can't one-shot it. So if he gets a free switch in and I don't have Rocks Up or something like that, it's going to be hard for me to kill it. Reuniclus is a very good setup sweeper. Very, very good bulky Psychic type to just kind of sort of sponge up hits and not really die. So I have to kind of watch out for that. Tentacruel is another very big problem for my team in general, because the main way that I aim to get momentum this season so far has been U-turn on Mega Scizor and Baton Pass on Togetic. So neither one of those match up super well against Tentacruel, so I'm a little nervous for that. He also has Druddigon, very fat, very good stealth rocker, very good thing to kind of sort of limit what I can do to it physically. Megasteelix is actually pretty good against my team because it's kind of sort of a fat tank that can kind of just live hits. And if he's Rock Polish and gets up enough speed and has like Fire Fang and things of that nature in my Mega Scissors weekend, it can actually do a lot of work to my team. Breloom is a threat, but it's not the biggest threat to my team. I honestly might, I don't want to say it's not coming because it could come if he thinks that he can set up on something, but even then, set up Breloom just isn't that good against me. If he's like sub-toxic with like bulk investment, Leech Seed and things of that nature, that could be threatening, and that could be a problem because I don't have much to actually handle that super well. Then he has Rotom. Could be coming to the game. Very good spin blocker. If he thinks I'm bringing rain with Kabutops, because Kabutops actually does a good amount to his team with Victini, Tyranitar, Togekiss, Reuniclus, and Megasteelix, all not liking a stab hit from it on either side. So it could come to try to block the spin, things of that nature. Glaceon, it's not coming to the game. And Ariados is something that is actually weird because it could come to the game just for sticky webs. Because the hazard removal that I've brought the last 2 weeks, I don't even think it exists. I don't even think I brought hazard removal the last 2 weeks. Let me actually double, because that would be kind of interesting. I know I didn't bring it against Shroom, and I did not bring it against Stevo either, so he could bring that, just knowing that I haven't brought a lot of hazard removal in the past, and expecting me to do the same here. When I went into this game in team building, I was like, okay, I need to throw Sly off of his game. I need to throw him something from left field that he's not going to expect, because when you look at my team, you see rain, you see outside of rain, you see pretty good offense. You don't see anything that's super out of the ordinary. I wanted to come up with something. So the first mon on the team that I actually knew that I had to bring, because it just matches up super well against literally his entire team, is my Nidoking. Now, I went through a lot of changes with this Nidoking, because I'll actually get into that with the second mon, because they go pretty much hand in hand. But I'm bringing an Expert Belt Physical one with Sucker Punch, Poison Jab, Ice Punch, and Earthquake. Can kind of sort of just blow holes through his entire team. I could have brought Life Orb, however with Sucker Punch and Earthquake, I did not want to be taking the Life Orb recoil that I would normally be taking, to where I'm basically going to be hitting everything for super effective damage anyway on his team, so there's no need for me to run anything other than Expert Belt. This thing, it just does a lot to his team. The only problem for this would be sub Victini. That would be a little bit of a problem. However, if he's sub Victini, he's not carrying a coverage move for something, and then something on my team can handle it a little bit better. I'm actually going to go ahead and talk about the second mon on the team at the same time as this. I'm probably going to be flashing back and forth between the two, just that way you guys can kind of sort of get what I'm trying to go for with this. The second mon on the team is going to be my Celebi. I'm bringing a Swords Dance Baton Pass Celebi. This EV spread I'll go over in just a minute, but I'm also bringing the Cobra Berry. This is a way for me to guarantee that if I set up on something like the Mega Steelix, because I can set up on that pretty safely as long as he doesn't have, like, I don't know, Fury Cutter? I don't know. Like, as long as it doesn't have anything super out of the ordinary, I can set up on it pretty easily with this EV spread. And if he sees that I set up a Swords Dance and he wants to Pursue Trap me to keep me from baton passing, I can Swords Dance again as he switches out into his Tyranitar, and then no matter what, I get a free baton pass off. Choice Specs Dark Pulse and Choice Banded Crunch do not OHKO me. I can baton pass it, and I can go directly into my Nidoking, and I can proceed to win the game depending on whether or not he has a sub Victini, which would be that would stop the sweep, because he could set up a sub on my Sucker Punch and then I wouldn't be able to beat it. But I can kind of sort of scout for that mid game. Hopefully, I'm hoping this doesn't happen until like mid to late game. A physically defensive Mega Steelix could kind of sort of stop this. However, at the same time, if I'm at +4, I only need about 20% on it to OHKO with EQ. Trying to think. I don't think there's a whole lot else that would stop this. Like, honestly, like, Choice Scarf Victini, I have Sucker Punch that OHKOs it. Use Cobra Berry, kudos, but it'll still do a lot of damage because I'm hoping I'll be at least +2. Breloom's Mach Punch does not OHKO me, so I can handle it that way. If he has a random, like, Choice Scarf Togekiss with, like, Psychic, that could stop it, or an offensive Tentacruel. Now, that's kind of where I went on my swapping back and forth with this thing a lot. I don't think he's bringing offensive Tentacruel. Here's why. He needs to be bulky enough to stop my Rain Sweepers. His Rain answers, realistically, are going to be Spadef Tentacruel, that stops Kingdra pretty well, or a very bulky Togekiss. So if he has to bring like a very bulky Tentacruel to take on hits from Kingdra, like in the rain, it can take a Draco Meteor pretty easily, and then if he sees them go over Draco Meteor, it can kind of sort of pivot in between those two to stop my Kingdra. So I don't think he's bringing that. I originally had Pasho Berry on there to prevent that I get OHKO'd from anything that like a speedy but not super offensive like Choice Specs or Life Orb Hydro Pump would do to me. So if he was like max speed, max special attack Black Sludge, I could live a Hydro Pump through the Pasho Berry. I thought about that. But then I was like, okay, but if that's the case, then he would have to be not bulky whatsoever, and then I have just a lot of things that can nuke that, and he can't do that, so he has to bring bulky, so Passion Berry is not really necessary. So what would something that I would need? Well, if I want to set up on Tentacruel, which by the way, Celebi can do with the 72 EVs in special defense with a careful nature, I can set up on it. Sludge Bomb is not a 2-hit KO, so I can set up a Swords Dance on it. Baton Pass. So I was like, so if I Baton Pass out of there on the Tentacruel and I go into Nidoking, I would still need the Passion Berry to weaken it. But then what if he burns me? Then that kind of sort of makes the whole setup completely useless. So I could run Lumberry. But then I was like, but I can kind of sort of work around that. I just make my Celebi have 29 speed IVs. Then I guarantee get the slow Baton Pass into Nidoking. Problem solved there. So now I don't need the Passion Berry or the Lumberry. So then I'm like, okay, so what if I'm against the Victini? I avoided the first two scenarios, so now let's say I'm against the Victini and I need to be able to live a Psychic Hit. Pyapa Berry. However, if I'm the Pyapa Berry, V-Create still kills me. So I don't need that either because I have to click Sucker Punch against the Victini no matter what. So then I was like, I have no idea what item to run on it. So then a buddy in my front office, he was just like, well, why not run Expert Belt so that way you don't take the Life Orb recoil and you still get the boost from hitting things super effectively. And I really liked that. It kind of sort of just gave me a punch through things right away type feel. And I really, really like that this game. So these two are going to hopefully happen after I get my main lead off. I have a very good lead for this game that'll kind of sort of force switches on his part and make him throw off his game from the very beginning. But this thing can set up on Mega Steelix, Breloom. It can, the Celebi, by the way, can set up on the Mega Steelix, the Breloom, Reuniclus, depending on if it's set up itself or not. Because if it's set up itself, I do not want to Baton Pass on a Nidoking on a Psychic and just lose my Nidoking. But then I can Baton Pass into something else later on that can kind of sort of just threaten it out. What was the other thing? Let me pull up his team again. Reuniclus, Tentacruel, Mega Steelix, Breloom, Druddigon to an extent depending on its item, Rotom depending on what type of Rotom it is, like if it's a very bulky one with like Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split, Volt Switch, and it would have to run Shadow Ball, but even then if it's a very bulky one I can still take 2 hits and I can set up on that as well. And I can actually set up on the Ariados too if he wants to bring that and I have its Sash broken. I can do that, but I have to watch out for that because I don't want to pass the -1 speed and then Nidoking come in and go to -2 speed because of sticky webs. So I have to make sure I'm able to get rid of webs if he sets them up. But these two things together are going to work very well. I'm very confident that they will work in conjunction pretty freaking well. So the next Mon on the team that I kind of sort of had to bring from the very start was my Miltank. This Miltank is more or less my Victini answer. Anything that he wants to do to me cannot 2-hit KO me. Banded V-Create, I believe it's a roll after rocks. If no rocks are up, it's guaranteed that I live it. That's Adamant Band. And Special Expert Belt Focus Blast. With my Chople Berry is not a 2-hit KO. I can get up my Stealth Rocks on a guaranteed. I can Earthquake it to get off the good damage to ensure that it has to go for a move against my Nidoking instead of subbing up against me. So that's pretty cool. That Earthquake damage also, after a Stealth Rocks plus 1 Earthquake, also puts it in range of another thing on the team that I'm going to be going into here pretty soon. But it's basically just a fat thing to sit in there, hopefully get up rocks, get some good chip damage off on the T-Tar, maybe get some body slams off on the Togekiss, things of that nature. Can really put in some hurting. 12 speed EVs, so I can potentially outspeed Tentacruel because Tentacruel needs 252 speedy HP EVs to have an odd number of HP. So unless he wants to bump down to 243 and put that much in speed, I'm going to be hitting it before it hits me with this thing. This thing I kind of wanted to run like a Curse Sap Sipper set so I could set up on the Breloom and kind of sort of just beat the Breloom itself. That'd be pretty funny, but I didn't have the gonads for that. Victini's just too scary. But that's basically all Miltank is there for, just to be super offensive. Super defensive, I'm sorry, with a little bit of offensive prowess in it. The next mon on the team is actually something that I wanted to bring last week against Shroom that I ended up not doing because of his week 1 game, and that is my Kingdra set. That is the Critdra with Sniper. The CV spread is very specific. I'll go into it in a minute. I have Draco Meteor, Scald, Ice Beam, and Focus Energy. 244 in HP, 124 in defense, 140 in speed with a timid nature. Now, if I wanted to run special attack investment, I could run modest, max special attack, and still not get the Okos. So, because of that, even with Stealth Rocks, I wouldn't get the Okos that I needed. So, because of that, I was like, well, if I'm going to get a 2-hit KO no matter what guaranteed, why not just run very, very bulky, and then I can make sure that I can live hits and kill his offensive mons. So, my plan for that is to set up a focus energy on the Tentacruel. That is plan number 1. Set up on the Tentacruel. He can Sludge Bomb me, he can Scald me, he can do whatever the heckaroo he wants to me. However, the one thing that I do not want him to do is to go into his Togekiss on me. But if he sees that I'm focused energy, he knows I'm going to be dropping a Draco on him. Modest crit Draco Meteor does about 94% minimum. Well, that's if he's like Fizz Death-ish. It does about that much. I'm pretty sure. No, it might do... I can't remember what it does. It does a lot of damage to him that he won't want to take. So, if I set up on the Tentacruel and he tries to get some damage off on me, what I plan to do is I plan to play completely hardball, and I plan to Ice Beam his Tentacruel, expecting the Togekiss switch in, because otherwise, he just loses right then and there to it. Like, if I click Draco Meteor on the Tentacruel, he'll lose his Tentacruel. That's one of his main answers to my Mega Scizor. He cannot afford to do that. He literally cannot afford to do that. So, I have to play hardball at that point in time. If I set up on his Tentacruel, he will be going into his Togekiss. I will be clicking Ice Beam. It's just the way it works. Aside from that, this EV spread, it is built for me to guaranteed live an Adamant Choice Banded Bolt Strike from Victini plus a Jolly Life Orb Mach Punch. That's the first thing I can live. So, let's say I set this up turn 1 and he wants to check it offensively. He wants to make sure that no matter what happens, he can kill it with a Victini afterwards with a V-Create. Surprise, surprise, I can live it. Then after that, oh wait, Breloom's Mach Punch takes out with no HP investment. Can't do it. That's 2 instant kills right there with Scald and Ice Beam. As long as I get the crits, that is. But that's mainly what that investment is for. I can also live an Expert Belt Modest Thunder plus Jolly Life Orb Mach Punch. So either way, I can kill both of them if he wants to try to check it offensively. If he wants to try to check it defensively and go into something like his T-Tar, I'm going to know it's Scarfed, and I'm going to try to play around it that way, because otherwise I won't be able to outspeed me. And Crit Scald will do a lot, and then I can get the burn, and if he's physical, he's not going to be doing much to me anyway because of my physical defense investment. But this Kingdra set, this is going to be my designated lead. No matter what, I'm going to lead off with this. Reason being, I can instantly threaten out the T-Tar and force it to not set up against me. I can instantly get off a big Scald against Victini. I can force in the Tentacruel. I can force in the Togekiss to get the good damage off on it that I need, potentially a burn on it with the Scald. And I can force out whatever his lead is going to be, because his lead is more than likely going to be either Rotom, if he brings it, T-Tar to get up rocks, or Victini to get a U-turn. Any of those, I can take a hit, I can get off some good chip damage, and lure in the Tentacruel, set up a focus energy, and get off some good damage on his walls. This thing is there to basically break down his walls, so Nidoking can sweep late game. I also have 2 other mons that do very well against this team that could potentially clean up late game. The next mon on the team is going to be my Raikou. I'm bringing a Choice Scarfed Rash Nature Raikou. Since he has a T-Tar, you know what that means. It's Aura Sphere, boys. We are bringing an Aura Sphere Volt Switch Thunderbolt Shadow Ball with a Rash Nature, 252 in special attack, 148 in speed, and the rest in HP, which is 108 EVs. This speed, I'm kind of sort of playing ballsy. I know Sly, he likes his speed creeps. Unless he wants to bring enough speed to speed tie with Celebi, which I've heard him say before, he does not like speed ties. He's going to be speed creeping my Nidoking. This thing is meant to speed creep a Victini, speed creeping Nidoking, plus about 4 points. So if he's right in that range, I can still outspeed him. Choice Scarf, guaranteed do about 50% with a Shadow Ball, and that's really cool. That's where that EQ damage plus the Stealth Rocks come in handy. If I can get that off, I'll be good to go. But this is a very good pivot against his team, because his his ground type, or his electric immunity, is weak to Aura Sphere, and that does about 45% to just max HP Mega Steelix. So if I'm able to get that off and I can put it in range of other things, I can just go into my Celebi and set up and hopefully win. So this thing lures in something that allows Celebi to set up on, and that's kind of what I've been trying to go for this entire season. Well, so far this entire season is just to lure things in for me to set up and win. But Aura Sphere is also there for the T-Tar. Does about 68% in the sand to Spadef T-Tar, so Raikou, you're amazing. And yeah, I really like this thing. Can really put in Tentacruel, put some hurting on Tentacruel, and Togekiss. The two things that I know for a fact have to come. This thing can break them both down, along with other things like a Victini, and it can also hurt things like the Reuniclus if it's not set up yet. So this is very, very cool. Very, very cool mon. I love Raikou this game. It's going to work out pretty well, I think. If anything, this might be the last mon standing, and depending on what I lock myself into, I can just win with this, depending on the team that he brings. The next mon on the team is going to be the final mon that is so important to this entire game, Megasis. This is going to be a very, very unique spread. I didn't change it from what it was originally. Keep that in mind. Originally, I had Bug Bite, Roost, Defog, Bullet Punch. However, I was having trouble having Mega Scizor in, having to hard switch into Celebi to take the hit, or hard switch into Raikou to threaten it out. So because this thing is such an offensive threat against his team, like the T-Tar, if it's not like Scarfed or offensive with Flamethrower, like the Togekiss, I wanted to make sure that I'm able to gain some momentum using this thing, so I needed to take off Bug Bite and put on U-Turn. Defog was just way too important. I needed to have hazard removal to get rid of Sticky Webs, because if I set up with Celebi and then I Baton Pass into my Nidoking, I'm not going to be able to outspeed his walls, I'm not going to be able to beat them 1v1, so I need to have that investment. I need to have Defog. I need it. The attack investment was there to OHKO, physically defensive Reuniclus with Bug Bite. Since I'm running U-Turn, I still wanted to have that extra offensive power just to ensure that I kill any variant of Togekiss that isn't Papiri Berry, and U-Turn will still do a metric shit ton to the Reuniclus, and because I can U-Turn, I can go right into something like my Nidoking and hit it with an EQ and finish it off from there, or a Poison Jab or something like that. But Mega Lars, the Mega Scizor, is going to be there mainly to keep hazards off the field, keep Sticky Webs off the field, and gain me some momentum, force out the Togekiss, lure in the Tentacruel as I U-turn into my Celebi, set up and win, or as I bring in my Raikou to Volt Switch around and get some more chip damage off that way. Everything in this game I'm setting up, I'm trying to bait, or trying to like lure and take advantage of. I'm trying to lure in the Tentacruel, take advantage of it, go into Celebi, set up and win. I'm trying to lure in the Mega Steelix, set up and win. I'm trying to do so much luring and giving and taking that I'm hoping it works out. I'm hoping I'm not biting off more than I can chew, but that is the team I'm bringing against Sly. I'm super excited for this game. I always love battling Sly. He's one of my favorite people to battle in the PPL, just because he's Sly. Love the dude to death. Make sure you guys go check him out. His links will be down in the description below, as will the rest of the coaches. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.